Hi everybody, this is Christianna at the Longmont Yarn Shop, and we are celebrating National Crochet Month. So I am going to demonstrate today how to do a beaded chain necklace. So like this guy here. Sorry, I can't get the whole thing in the picture for you. So my materials are, I'm using a 5/2 pearl cotton that we sell here at the store. The 5/2 is the thinner of the pearl cottons that we sell. We also, excuse me, it is under the weaving supplies, so if you've never seen it before, that's where it's located. So you need your pearl cotton, you need about 40 to 50 beads, some clear nail polish, and scissors, and a crochet hook of your choice, size of your choice. So we're going to start out by creating a surface to string your beads on. So what I do is I've got my pearl cotton here, and I'm just going to slice it at an angle with my little snippers. And then I've got a piece of aluminum foil here, and I'm going to take my clear nail polish and just polish the end of this. So the reason I do this on aluminum foil as opposed to like a paper towel or a napkin or something is the nail polish will catch onto any fibers, paper fibers from the paper towel or napkin, whereas the foil will not. So I just paint the end a little bit, pick it up, and then move it. And then I let that dry. It will dry relatively quickly because it's such a small surface area. However, just to be safe, I would say let it sit for at least 10 minutes before trying to use it. So what we're doing is we're essentially creating a needle to thread our beads on. So in interest of time, I'm not going to sit here and make you guys watch that dry. So I've already done that to my yarn that is over here. So as you can see, it's pretty stiff. You could use a needle if you were using a bead that had a smaller hole in it, or a larger hole, excuse me. But because I am using beads with smaller holes, this is actually a really good way to do this. So I know I put paper plate on the list of items you need. This is totally optional. I just use it because I like putting my beads on here. It's easier to keep track of them. And then you just, sorry, my fingers are a little slippery right now. Thread the bead using the point that you just made with your clear nail polish. So the reason I snip it at an angle is to try and create a sharp point to put the beads on. And then you just put the sharp point through the hole and push the bead down. So I push it down as close to my yarn as I can get. And then you just thread on as many beads as you would like. About 40 or 50 is kind of the sweet spot. Alrighty. So I already pre-strung a bunch of beads. So the sample that I made, this is actually just beads that I had in my stash at home. I have almost as many beads as I do yarn. So, but we do have beads that are about this size here available at the shop. And they're great for not only making jewelry, but just putting in your knitting and crocheting as well. So, for those of you who have no crocheting experience whatsoever, I am so glad you guys joined us. This is a great way to get started. So now that I've got my beads all on my yarn, I want to leave about a good 4 or 5 inch tail. No need to measure it, just kind of eyeball it. So I'm going to start by making a slip knot. So I've got my working yarn is off to my left and my tail is off to my right. So I want to create a loop like that, and then the working yarn, the yarn that's still attached to the ball, I push up through the bottom of the loop, and I'm going off camera just for a second because I can't. There we go. So this loop that we just pulled up, that is the loop you want to put on your crochet hook. and then you pull that just snug up to your hook. You want it loose enough that it'll still move up and down your hook, but tight enough that it's not kind of flopping around. So I'm using a size D hook for mine. No particular reason, just I like the way that it looked on my necklace. If you want a tighter gauge, you can go down a hook size to a C or a B. If you want a looser chain, go ahead and go up to like an E or an F. I probably wouldn't go much higher than an F with the thinner yarn. And so now I'm going to chain. So with my working yarn, that's the yarn that's still attached to the ball, I want to go over my hook. So let me show you again. I want to go back to front, and then I want to take the hook and catch the yarn that I just wrapped and pull it through the first loop that was on my hook. So again, wrapping back to front and then pulling it through the loop that was already on my hook. And you can do that as many times as you want, so I'm going to do it for 4 total times. So there's 3, then there's 4, and then I'm going to come over here, grab my first bead, and push it up to right by my hook. And then when you go to chain now, you just pretend like the bead isn't there. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap back to front again, and then complete the chain, and that chain will lock that bead into place, so that bead is not going to go anywhere. So you can decide how many chains you want between each bead. On this guy I did about 3 in between each bead, but these were larger beads, so I'm using smaller ones now, so I think I'm going to do only a couple chains. So I'm not going to count the chain that I just made to lock my bead into place, so I'm going to chain 1, 2, and come back over here, grab the bead closest to my work, and push it up right by my hook, and then chain to lock it into place. So now I'm going to do 1 chain, then 2 chains, then I'm going to come back here and push my bead up to my work, and then chain 2. Okay, so actually chain 3. So there's the chain to lock the bead into place, and then I'm going to do my 2 chains in between. So I'll call those spacer chains. Spacer chains in between the beads. And I'm going to do this to my desired length. Keep in mind the pearl cotton does have a little bit of stretch to it, so you can get away with making a shorter necklace, but you need to obviously make sure that it goes over your head so that you can wear it. And for time's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and make this a bracelet length. And remember, you can keep pushing your beads down towards your yarn as you need to pull more yarn out to work with. So I've got my bead up by my work. I'm going to chain to lock it in place, and then chain 2 more, and push my bead up against my work, chain to lock it in place, chain 2 more, and again you just keep doing this until you've got it as long as you want it. This is also a great thing to do with kids too, if they want to learn how to crochet. You can use a larger weight yarn like a worsted weight and then just get some plastic pony beads. And if you do that, you can actually omit the step of creating the needle with your clear nail polish, because pony beads have a large enough hole that you can just feed the yarn through without any assistance. And chain 2, and push my next bead up, and I just put the beads on my string in random color. So yarn over, chain and lock that into place, chain 1, chain 2, and then I've got my bead there, and locking that chain in, chain 2. Also too, if you do want to do this with children, you actually don't necessarily need a hook. You can do a finger chain where you just create the loop and then pull it through with your fingers instead of using a hook. So this is actually an awesome project for people of all ages. Okay. And I've got that up there, so I'm locking it in place. Chain 1, chain 2, and crochet that, locking the bead into place. And let me do this just a couple more times and I should have it long enough. I fortunately have very small wrists, so this will take me no time to make a bracelet. And 1, okay, I've got my chain 2. And as you can tell, I crochet pretty tight, but I actually like the finished look that it comes with, that crocheting tight comes up with. So, oops, I need to push a bead up by my hook. Now I'm going to chain 1, 2. I think I could probably go like 2 more beads and it'll be big enough for my wrist. So I'm going to lock that into place, front to back, chain 1, chain 2, push my bead up, chain and lock it into place, and then chain 1, chain 2, and because I'm at the end, I'm actually going to go ahead and just chain 3. And I'm pushing my beads down so that when I cut the yarn, they don't go flying everywhere. So again, I want to cut about a 4 or 5 inch tail off there. And I'm going to go ahead and snip that. And to finish it off, you do have still the 1 loop on your hook, so you just pull that until the thread comes all the way through. So that is my beaded bracelet, and now to finish it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line the chains up so that they are lined up perfectly. I'm going to take my tails and just do an overhand knot and pull that shut. So you can go ahead and leave this as is, or you can do a little fancy finishing on here, which is why I had you leave the long tails. So I'm going to take a couple beads and bead them on, or thread them on each end, like so. And I'm going to leave a little dangly there. I'm going to make it maybe about 1 inch. So I'm just going to tie an overhand knot so that my beads will stay on just to however long I want it. And you know what? I'm going to tie just 1 more overhand knot to make sure that the beads don't fall off. So, oops. Of course, I want the knots to line up, not be side by side. So let me go ahead and do that. There we go. So then I'm going to take my little snippers and I'm going to go ahead and snip close to that knot and just go ahead and throw away my excess. And then here's where your clear nail polish comes in handy again too. You can use clear drying glue. I just like the fingernail polish just because it's something I've got in my house. It dries clearly, it dries quickly, and it holds very, very, very well. So now I'm just going to take my clear nail polish and put a little on that knot to hold it in place. And so again, that'll take probably about 10 minutes to dry. And then I would just go ahead and repeat on the other side. And this one I didn't put nail polish on, so it's going to be a little more wonky. Plus I just put lotion on, so my fingers are a little slippery. Okay. Well, let's see if this one will cooperate with me. There we go. So on this side, I'm just going to go ahead and just put the one bead. And I'm going to try and line these up so that they're about even. And tie my overhand knot to lock my beads in place. And of course, they don't have to be perfectly even. I think it gives it a little character if they're just a little off center. 'Cause nothing in life is perfect, so this doesn't need to be. Okay, I've got my overhand knot. Gonna snip close to the knot there. And then I'm just going to seal that off with my clear nail polish. And it might help to just go ahead and lay it against the foil. Again, it'll stick a little bit to the foil, but when you pull it off, it's not going to pull any fibers with it. So that's why I like the aluminum foil as opposed to paper products. And there we've got a pretty sweet bracelet. Of course, for a necklace, you'd probably want to do at least 18 to 24 inches. And then once you master this, which I have every faith you guys will because it's super fun and super simple, you can do all kinds of things like this bracelet here. I did 6 chains like this guy, broke them up into groups of 2, and then braided it. And then I put a little toggle clasp on the bracelet there. So finishing it this way will create these cute little danglies. If you were doing a necklace, it would just kind of hang down the back of your neck. And this is a great way to use up any beads you may have lying around from previous projects, or for those of you who make doilies, this is a great way to use your doily cotton too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this demonstration, and of course if you have any questions that I can answer for you, please feel free to email us at info@longmontyarn.com, and we will have more fun Learn to Crochet videos coming up, and just some more fun National Crochet Month activities planned. So I hope this guy gets you inspired to try crocheting, and we will post this to our YouTube channel so you can go back and revisit it. And thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope you have a lovely day today. Thanks. Bye.